Let yourself be great. Unleash your soul. Take your passion, make it happen. That's the goal.
And welcome to another edition of Two Steps Ahead podcast, encouraging you to take your passion, make it happen, let yourself be great. I'm Son Edom. On the show, we're going to talk about respect. Aretha Franklin taught us how to spell it. Rodney Dangerfield got none. But what does it mean to you? And more specifically, we're going to talk about the problem areas that come with respect. So stay tuned for that. But before we get to those problem areas, we've got to figure out just exactly what does respect mean. Because to a lot of people, it could mean different things, or perhaps maybe we don't know what respect actually means, because when you take it to people on the streets, you might get all different types of responses.
Well, respect means a lot of things to me.
That's a really tough question.
Respect, man, that's a powerful word, man.
Is there another question?
Respect.
Oh, goodness. Right on the spot.
Respect means appreciating people for who they are.
And showing people the kindness and tenderness that they deserve.
Respect means integrity to me.
Like importance and value to whatever people believe.
Being kind to one another.
That you treat them in a dignified way.
Respect is just something you have to give, but you also have to earn.
You have to respect grown-ups.
Respect to me comes with understanding.
General kindness, goodness.
When you look in the mirror, you gotta look at the man in the mirror first. What can I change to make it better for us?
Yeah, so the core meaning of respect, if you want to look at it from its foundational perspective, respect is recognition. Recognition of the other person. You matter. That's what respect comes down to. Recognition. Restraint. I won't violate your dignity. And regard. I will treat you with care, or I will treat you with seriousness. Okay? And that seriousness isn't just like politeness, because politeness is considered surface area behavior. Respect is deeper. It's how you value someone and how that shows up externally. So recognition, you matter. Restraint, I won't violate your dignity. And regard, I will treat you with care or seriousness. So that's the core meaning of respect. So when it comes down to respect fundamentally, the recognition of value or worth. Do you recognize the value or the worth in somebody? If you do, then you respect them. This is displayed or expressed through attitude and behavior, and it's directed towards other people, towards principles that you might have, or yourself. So if you wanted to put respect into a basic definition, maybe it's something like this. Respect is a feeling or understanding that someone or something is important and deserves appropriate treatment. So when you look at people, do you think they are important? Now, important can be many different things, right? You might think of somebody as maybe a CEO of a company. They might be important from their position perspective. A parent might be important from their position in the family. Your values might be important because it's what you believe. You might have yourself, and considering yourself important, which you probably should. And so you're going to treat all those different people appropriately. But just what about people in general? You're out at the mall. You're walking down the street. You're doing something. Maybe you don't know those people, strangers, but are people important to you? Or do you dismiss them because you don't know who they are? And that's a question that you would have to answer for yourself. But that's just the surface of it all. Okay. So we're recognizing the value or the worth in people. We're expressing it through attitude and behavior, and it's directed towards ourselves, towards other people, or thoughts, values, principles that we believe in. Now, psychology always comes into play a lot of times with some of this stuff, especially when it comes to self-respect, right? Why don't we respect ourselves? But when you look at it from a psychological perspective, you can combine an internal mindset, that's what you're thinking, with an external behavior. You know, something that I've said a lot on the podcast is what you think is going to be on the heart, and then the heart and actions, or maybe the other way around. Maybe what's on the heart is going to influence your mindset, and then your mind is going to influence your action. So maybe that's a better way to put it. But either way, the mind, the heart, actions all go together. So it's internal mindset and external behavior. So respect is recognizing that dignity, or the recognition of dignity, acknowledging that somebody's rights, autonomy, and inherent worth are there. And it's not based on liking somebody. That's why I said, if you're walking down the street and you see somebody, a stranger, you might not know them, but you acknowledge their rights, their autonomy, their inherent worth. And then if you do know somebody, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it is somebody in your social circle, and maybe you don't quite like them, you still understand they have rights. Not talking about civil rights, but their right to be themselves, their autonomy, their inherent worth. And I think inherent worth, I think, is probably the best term to use when it comes to recognizing somebody's dignity and respecting them, is they have worth, they have value because of the person that is there. Not because of who they are, but because they have value as a person. So it's not based on liking someone. It's just based on recognizing humanity, their humanity. People are important. People have worth. Humanity has worth. And so that's what it is to respect and to recognize the dignity of somebody. It's their inherent worth. It's the fact that they are a part of humanity. So there are two core types of respect. And psychologists love to dig deep into these type of things. And they divide this particular concept of respect into, I guess, two basic areas. And maybe they're not basic after all. But recognition, respect, where everyone deserves. It's simply because they're human, the humanity perspective. And it's linked to their dignity and their basic rights. Okay, we kind of went over that. But that's a core type of respect, according to psychologists. An appraisal respect is earned through the ability, character, and achievement. So there's the recognition aspect of it. And then there's what people would say, the earned part of it. Respect is earned. Well, the appraisal respect, that would be the earned part of it, through the ability, the character, or the achievement that they might do. You respect someone for their ability to play sports, their ability to problem solve, their ability to lead a business or corporation. Maybe the character they display, they show towards you and other people. Character in times of trouble. Character when no one else is around. Trust. That type of thing. And then, of course, you might show them some respect because of what they've achieved, awards they might have received. So recognition is just everyone deserves it because they're human. And that's because we have dignity and basic rights. So that's a respect that's kind of just there. And then you have the earned respect because of ability, character, or achievement. So this is why you can respect somebody without admiring them, and you can admire somebody without fully respecting them, which is something that people have a hard time doing. So again, coming up just a couple minutes, we're going to talk about the problem areas that people struggle when it comes to respect. But we have a foundation now of what respect is. But let's just quickly look over what respect isn't before we get to those problems, because we have to understand what it is and maybe what it isn't so that we can figure out what the problems are so we can solve those problems. And that's ultimately what we want to get to, is the solution to the problems we might have with respect. So the opposite of respect, okay? If respect is basically recognizing somebody for their worth, their value, and we express that through attitude and behavior, and we direct it towards ourselves or other people, or maybe the principles that we believe in. Okay, we recognize it through dignity, the fact that they're human, and the humanity gains respect or has that respect. And then the earned respect because of their ability, because of their character or their achievement. Now, the opposite of that, or the absence, maybe is a better word, includes contempt. You see someone who's beneath you. Leaders might suffer from that. They have contempt for people below them. They're below me. I'm the boss. I'm in charge. So you have contempt, seeing someone as beneath you. You disregard them or you ignore their worth. You exploit them. You use people. And then, of course, you dehumanize them. Dehumanization of them. That's the opposite, or the absence of respect. Someone's beneath you. You ignore their worth. You just use people. And then you have a dehumanization towards them. And the contempt one, that's the one that's really dangerous, because it creates an emotional distance between you and them and superior thinking. And that's where we are in this world a lot, is in the superiority in thinking, right? So where respect builds connections, contempt destroys them, takes them down. So why does it matter? Why does respect matter? At every level, not any level, every level. Well, at the personal level, it builds self-worth. You must respect yourself. You got to build self-worth. And it guides decision-making. Right? How many times have you heard, someone say or tell a story, and it's like the cliche is, nothing good starts with a story. I went to a bar and had a shot of tequila. Or then the joke becomes, nothing good starts with, I went to the restaurant and had a salad. So there's these little cliches that we use because we know that when we don't respect ourselves, we lose self-worth. You drink too much tequila, bad things are going to happen. If we eat unhealthy, that's the kind of twist on the cliche of eating the salad, we're not going to be healthy. But so on the personal level, it builds self-worth and it guides our decision-making. On a relational level between people, it creates trust and safety. And it enables, if necessary, healthy conflict. On a leadership level, it drives influence and loyalty. Plus, it also builds culture and credibility. Culture is a big word, building culture. Well, you have to have the respect at all levels and not have contempt toward these other people, because contempt looks at them as beneath you. So if you're a leader and you think these people that work for you are beneath you, then you have contempt for them, whether you think so or not. And it's going to show and shine through in how you treat them. And then in return, how they treat you, which then affects product, affects the bottom line, affects production, and overall your business outcome. And then on a societal level, forms of where respect forms the basis of human rights and dignity. So that is what respect is and what respect isn't. And now that we know that, it's important to know or to look at what are the 7 biggest problems people face when it comes to respect. And it usually comes down to people want respect, but many have never been taught how to give it, never been taught how to earn it, to protect it, and to repair it when it's broken. So let's take a look at the 7 biggest problems people face when it comes to respect. Okay, so now we know what it is. Now, how can we deal with it? Well, the first problem that people face when it comes to respect is confusing respect with agreement. Confusing respect with agreement. One major problem is that people often think if you respect me, you must agree with me. And that's simply not true. You can respect somebody and disagree with them. Respect does not mean you approve of everything someone does or what they believe or what they do. It means that you recognize their humanity, their dignity, and their right to be treated decently. So a person can say, I disagree with you, but I am not going to demean you. And that shows real maturity. We live in a society today where respect is, I don't even know how you could classify it nowadays, but demeaning, thinking people are beneath you, showing contempt for people, showing disregard for people, exploiting people, and having a dehumanization of people, I think is rampant and overtakes or has a higher place in society than recognizing someone's value or worth and expressing that through your attitude and behavior. I really do. Because you can agree and disagree, or you can agree to disagree, or you can agree and agree, but that doesn't mean that the respect is there. So you want to make sure that you respect the person, you respect who they are, you give them their dignity because of humanity, you respect them because they have inherent worth, because they are a person. And coming up in a little bit, we're going to talk about maybe something from a biblical perspective, but because they're created in God's image and God created them, they have worth. But if you confuse respect with agreement, then you're going to have a blurred line and there's going to be some problems. Another problem that people have is they demand respect without giving it. I mean, that's a huge thing. They demand respect without giving it. A lot of people want respect from others, but they do not show it themselves. How can you expect someone to respect you if you don't respect them? They want to be heard, but they interrupt. They want grace, but then they judge quickly. They want loyalty, but then they gossip. You see, respect is hard to receive from others when we refuse to practice it ourselves. This is especially true when it comes to leadership, coaching, parenting, teaching, and, if you so choose, marriage or relationships. Authority may give someone a title, but character determines whether people truly respect them. So you can have the title of whatever you want. Maybe have a generic title of leader. And people might give you that initial respect just because. The recognition, respect, we'll call it, because of your position. But do you earn the appraisal respect? Do you earn their respect because of what you have done? Because of your abilities, because of your character, and because of your achievements? What about coaching? I know a lot of people in the coaching world, and I've seen it. I've seen some that have great respect for the game, great respect for each other, their fellow coaches, and then others that demand respect. I've seen a lot of coaches, and I think that's the biggest fall of coaches, especially, let's say, non-professional coaches, parents that are dads that are coaches, moms that are coaches, people like that. They don't understand respect for players. They demand respect, but they don't give it back to the players. And that becomes a problem. What if you're a parent? Do you demand the respect from your kids, but you don't respect your kids back? Teaching. Another area where I see problems, where teachers don't respect their kids, their students, but they demand respect in the classroom. And how can it go both ways if it's only one way? So again, it's important. It's important that you give respect in order to get respect, and demanding respect is probably the wrong way to go about it. If you want someone's respect, and let's just say they ignore the recognition respect, they're not even going to respect you for the position that you're in. Well, one, they might be a problematic person to begin with, but let's just say they don't respect you because of the position. Have you gained respect through ability, through character, and through achievement? I'm not talking about ass kissing. I'm not talking about trying to go out of your way to get them to like you. Nothing like that. It's just you doing it yourself. Maybe you have higher standards. Like for me, most of the time, my standards are higher than the standards put upon me by my workplace, by people, whatever. I like to raise my standard higher because that's just in me. And people might not see that or understand it, but that's what I like to do. So maybe people don't respect the position that you're in, but you are working hard. You're getting achievements. You're showing your abilities. You are having strong character, displaying strong character. And now all of a sudden, maybe people start to respect you. In fact, quick story. I was working at a radio station. It was a new job, sports radio. I was working on the weekends, and there was a show host. And the show host was a guy that had a hard time with relationships. The person that I was going to replace running the board, he was the show host, and I was going to run the board. That basically means you run the show from the technical perspective. And there was no respect either way between the show host and the person I was replacing. I mean, they did not like each other at all. And you could tell. You could tell there's a lot of contempt for each other. So then when I get trained and I slide into that position, my goal was just to treat this as a professional experience. Okay. He's a professional. I'm a professional. I realize his position. Doesn't matter what he realizes about me. I was just going to go about my job. I was going to give him the recognition, respect because of his position as the host, how he wants things, how he likes things to have happen. And I was going to honor that. And then hopefully, whether or not he gave me any recognition, respect for my position, because really my position controlled his. And that was part of the issue the other guy had, was that there was all kinds of issues that led to show problems, right? So through my abilities, through my character, and then through my achievements of making the show better, I eventually earned appraisal respect, or that earned respect from the show host. And then I remember one time our paths crossed at baseball stadium. We're there for a game and we're talking, and we kind of went into the press area and we sat down having a couple hot dogs, and we talked pretty much the entire game. They didn't see the game. And we had a great conversation. And I remember a tipping point when I think back on it was the guy had a cat, and apparently his cat had passed away. So I had expressed to him my condolences for his lost cat. Just say, hey, sorry you lost your cat. And he was like, what does that mean? I'm like, dude, I'm just sorry you lost your cat. I know you liked your cat. That's what I've heard. And I think that was a turning point that then led over to the job, earning that respect. And so for me, that was an example of how I can, through maybe appraisal respect or that earned respect, gain respect from people that might not respect me just through recognition. Now, whether they recognize me and give me that respect or if it was earned, that's up to them. But that's what I tried to do. And in that particular instance, it mattered. I didn't demand respect from him. In fact, he didn't demand respect from me because of the past issues that he's had. But I have been in the radio business where people have demanded respect and they don't give it. And it's hard to work for those people. It's hard to have them be successful and make them successful, if that's your job, when you don't respect them. But people demanding respect without giving it is a big problem. And again, confusing respect with agreement is a big problem people face. The third area is people mistake fear for respect. This is kind of a big one, especially in the workplace and perhaps maybe in the home. Some people think they are respected because there's a quiet around them, but silence is not always respect. Sometimes it is fear, intimidation, maybe exhaustion, or people simply avoiding conflict. You know people like that? They just want to avoid conflict. So whatever it is, it is. So if you're a coach, a boss, a parent, maybe a leader of some sort, whether it's business, community, ministry, if you rule by fear, you may get obedience, but you will rarely get true respect. And how quickly will those people turn on you if something bad happens on a bigger level, corporate level, company level, family level, ministry level, things go bad and people don't respect you, you're the one that's going to be in the hot seat because you're the leader. So the difference, fear says, I better do this so I do not get punished. I better do this so I do not get punished. Respect says, I trust this person's leadership, character, and judgment. Therefore, I'm going to do something. And those are two very different things. So you don't want to mistake fear for respect. If people are quiet around you, if people do something, whatever it is, you're asking to do it, take a look. See how they are doing it. Are they doing it out of fear? Or are they doing it out of respect? And the end game, the end goal, or the end product, end process, at the end, the quality of that will be different if it's out of fear versus out of respect. The fourth area is a lack of self-respect. This might be one of the biggest ones. People have a lack of self-respect. Respect problems begin internally for people. When someone does not respect themselves, they may tolerate mistreatment. They may chase approval, maybe avoid boundaries, or maybe allow others to define their worth. Self-respect does not mean arrogance. You don't need to be haughty to have self-respect. It means I have value, so I will not treat myself like I am worthless. Self-respect means I have value, so I will not treat myself like I am worthless. A person with healthy self-respect can apologize without hating themselves. You can set boundaries without feeling cruel, and you can walk away from disrespect without needing revenge. How is your self-respect? A lot of problems come from people that lack self-respect. They do tolerate mistreatment. Do you know people that tolerate being mistreated by others? Or maybe chasing approval? Sometimes you see this in relationships. You see people chasing approval in relationships because one person doesn't respect the other. There was I don't even know where I heard it, but it basically goes like this. In a relationship, the person that cares the least has the most power. And if you have a lack of self-respect and don't recognize that maybe someone doesn't care for you as much as you care for them, then that might bring a lot of problems to you. And then maybe it's time for conversation. Avoiding boundaries. And when it comes to a lack of self-respect and people, and those people that lack self-respect, they avoid boundaries. I mean, they allow people inside their boundaries. They let their boundaries get run over. And then they let others define their worth. You define your worth. You define your self-worth, your dignity. You have to respect yourself. If you do not respect yourself, there's going to be a lot of problems in life for you. So the problems people face when it comes to fear, We've got confusing respect with agreement. We've got demanding respect without giving it. We've got mistaking fear for respect and a lack of self-respect. But there is also poor communication. That's another problem people have when it comes to respect. Wow, how can that be? How can poor communication and respect, well, disrespect often shows up through tone, timing, body language, sarcasm, dismissiveness, and interrupting. I think a lot of times poor communication in society today is a big deal. And I think you have to be a little bit particular when it comes to discerning whether it's someone that has poor communication because they were never taught it, good communication, or because they're disrespecting you. Because there's a lot of people today that they don't disrespect you, they just don't know how to communicate. So they will interrupt. Or their body language, because our attention spans are minute, like that of a gnat. They might shift and change and cross arms. That's one of the biggest things that I always kind of thought was humorous when these body language experts and stuff. If you cross your arms, you're being defensive, or you're separating yourselves, having a boundary because your arms are crossed. Sometimes it's just comfortable. It's just comfortable to have your arms crossed. So again, when it comes to poor communication and disrespect, just be careful that you're not misreading the situation. Because I talked to a lot of people that they just suck at communicating through their tone, through their timing, through their body language, through their sarcasm, through their dismissiveness, and they're interrupting because they may have ADHD, they may have anxiety. Who knows? Just be careful. But poor communication can be a sign of disrespecting you. Sometimes people do not even realize how disrespectful they sound. They may say, I was just being honest, or something like along that lines. But honesty without humility can become cruel. Respectful communication requires listening, requires patience, and emotional control. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it, when you say it, and whether the person feels it being heard. People always say about that, I want to feel heard. Well, if that is the case, then perhaps maybe if someone says that to you, I just want to feel heard. Maybe in a relationship, I want to feel heard. Well, maybe you're disrespecting them. Maybe you need to work on communication, or just let them go. And the sixth is double standards when it comes to respect, and what people suffer from, or the problems they face is a double standard. Respect breaks down when people apply one standard to themselves and another to everyone else. We all know about that. Double standards are bad. For an example, I can be late, but you better be on time. I can make mistakes. You should know better. I can raise my voice, but you need to calm down. You ever say calm down to a woman that's a little not calm? Good luck with that. But yeah, double standards. Boss, are you showing up on time? Or are you late? Parents, are you doing and setting the example to your kids? Or is there a double standard there? Do you raise your voice at your kids and tell them not to raise their voice at their siblings? Something to think about. But a double standard creates resentment because people feel used, judged, and are treated less important. Less important means perhaps contempt for that person. Respect grows when expectations are fair and consistent. And then the final problem that people face when it comes to respect is failure to repair disrespect. Everyone will fail at respect at some point. We all do. People say the wrong thing. People react emotionally to someone, what they say. Maybe you dismiss someone. Maybe you lose your patience. Maybe they lose their patience. So real damage often happens when people refuse to repair that disrespect or that respect, however you want to look at it. A simple apology, that could restore some dignity. I was wrong, or I spoke to you. You did not deserve that. But then maybe that's as far as we go, because maybe pride keeps us from saying it. And going a little bit further, maybe we justify our actions. Maybe we minimize our actions or blame the other person. So how you handle that fractured respect/disrespect? Respect is not destroyed by one mistake as much as it is destroyed by refusing to take responsibility. So we're all going to make mistakes. There's no doubt about it. We are all going to make mistakes, but it's how we handle those mistakes. You apologize. And sometimes maybe it doesn't even have to do with how you handle the situation. For example, maybe there was something was wrong. And maybe that was it. Hey, I'm sorry. That didn't mean to go that way. And maybe there was no disrespect at all. You hear that a lot of times, right? Hey, I'm sorry, man, no disrespect. You got to be careful about that because maybe there was disrespect, but then maybe there wasn't. I was just wrong. Sorry. Or maybe it was like, yes, I was wrong. You did not deserve that. I disrespected you. I apologize for that. I did not show you dignity. I did not display, or I did not value you. I did not consider your worth. My attitude, my behavior towards you, and what I did directed towards you was bad. I apologize for that. That would take swallowing your pride, sucking it up, and taking care of business. So when it comes down to it, the bottom line, the biggest respect problems are not just about manners. They're about character. It comes down to character. Respect requires humility. Absolutely. Self-control, fairness, empathy. Got to have boundaries. And of course, accountability. And these are some big words that a lot of people either don't truly understand or don't really adhere to. Respect requires humility, self-control, fairness, empathy, boundaries, and accountability. It means treating people with dignity even when emotions are high, disagreements are sharp, or authority is involved. Have you ever seen or watched recently a hearing on Capitol Hill? Zero respect going on Capitol Hill. So if you want an example of what complete disrespect is, just look there. And so those are the 7 biggest problems people face when it comes to respect. So what kind of person are you? What kind of person are you when nobody's acting right? What kind of character do you have when respect isn't given back to you? Because it's easy to be respectful in a room full of people who honor you, but what about when they don't? What about when you've been overlooked, ignored, disrespected? Do you drop to their level or do you rise to yours? Do you have your standards higher than others? Raise the standard in your life so your greatness can come out of you, so you can take your passion, make it happen, and let yourself be great. The other area that speaks about respect is, for me anyways, what I like to look to is the Bible, faith. Maybe your faith has something to say about respect. Because according to the Bible, respect isn't weakness. It's discipline. It's restraint. It's strength under control. It's saying, I'm not going to let your behavior determine my character. How often do we allow someone else's behavior determine our character? Happens a lot, whether it's through revenge, grudge, whatever. Someone else's behavior determines our character. But having respect means, and this could be self-respect, I'm not going to let your behavior determine my character. And you have to be careful because this isn't about just letting people walk over us. We're not going to let people walk over us. We are not going to be weak and soft. We are going to be responsible and have our own worth, have our own dignity, and respect ourselves. Respect does not mean that we're going to be tolerating nonsense. We're not going to accept abuse, and we're not going to remove our boundaries. Because you see, Jesus loved people, but he corrected people. He showed compassion, but he spoke truth. And that's real respect. No faked kindness, no passive silence, truth delivered with dignity. If you have to tell somebody what's up, you need to intervene and tell them what's up, do it with dignity. Understanding their value, understanding their worth, and do it with dignity. Because by doing it with dignity, then you're going to understand their perspective a little bit. You're going to have that internal mindset and proper external behavior. So what does the Bible say about respect? Well, it begins with respecting God, reverence towards God. In Scripture, respect starts vertically between you and God before it goes horizontally between people and people. Respect is reverence for God. Proverbs 1:7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and knowledge of the holy is understanding. This fear, though, fear of the Lord, does not mean terror. It means respect. It means like reverence, being in awe of someone, recognizing their authority. So that's what that means. You're not in no reason to be fearful of God as a terrorizing person. It's to recognize their authority, have reverence for them. If someone doesn't respect God, their understanding of respect towards people will always be incomplete. So, respect, according to the Bible, begins with reverence towards God, respecting God. Then, after the vertical, it's the horizontal. Respect for all people. That's a baseline respect, okay? Every person has value according to Scripture. 1 Peter 2:17, show proper respect to everyone, not just people you agree with or people who treat you well, with everyone. Why? Why would we do that? Well, because everyone is created in God's image. Everyone is of God. Now, again, we've been talking about some things, so we take those things into consideration as well. We don't let people step all over us. We don't let people interrupt our boundaries, cross our boundaries. We take care of all that because we have self-respect. While we're treating other people with respect, it starts with God, respecting God, and then it goes to people. Have you ever thought about respect being tied to love? Because biblically speaking, respect is relational. It's not just a cold thing. It's a relational thing. Romans 12:10, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourself. That's pretty powerful. Again, we're not just agreeing. We're not being in fear. We're not doing any of that stuff. We're just honoring other people based on the fact that they're made in the image of God, based on the fact that we have respect for them, whether it's recognition respect, whether it's appraisal respect, they've earned it. We respect the fact that they have autonomy, that they have value, they have worth, and our attitude and behavior reflects that. That's powerful. Respect means putting others before us, not needing to win every interaction, valuing people without competing with them. Maybe if we took competition, I'm not talking about sports competition, but if we took people competition, kind of like the keeping up with the Kardashians, or I have more than you, whatever. If we take away that competition, we might have more dignity, we might have less contempt for each other, and we might show more respect. The Bible also talks about respect in authority and relationships. We're supposed to respect parents. Exodus 20:12, honor your father and mother. Obedience when young. Honor and care for them through life. As they get older, and as we get older, they take care of us as we're young. And then as we get older, the cards might flip, and now we might need to take care of them. And we do that to honor them, to respect them. As we're younger, we obey them. As we get older, we have that respect, communication, and now we're taking care of them through their life. Leaders, and this is a big one. Romans 13:1, if you ever think about this, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities. This doesn't mean blind agreement. You can go vote for somebody else. You can do your protests, whatever. But it does mean, or what it does mean, I should say, is recognizing the structure and order. Because it also talks about government put in place by God. But let everyone be subject to the governing authorities. Again, we do not have to have the blind agreement. We can just recognize the structure and order of government. It also talks about church and spiritual leaders. I'll just leave that there because I could go on a rant for another 2 hours about respect for church and spiritual leaders. But Hebrews 13:17 says, have confidence in your leaders. Submit to their authority, but not blind loyalty. And then respect is shown in how you speak. And this is where it gets real. Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. Respect shows up in our tone. We talked about that earlier. In our words, in our timing. I mean, here it comes full circle, right? We talked about it earlier. I was just trying to look at my notes to see if I could find it again real quick. But I know we talked about it earlier, but then again, it comes back here in the Bible. Tone, words, timing. James 1:19, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Now, wouldn't that be something if that took place today? So listening is a form of respect. Absolutely. Restraint is a form of respect. Absolutely. There's a lot of times I show restraint because I respect somebody else, maybe not the person I'm dealing with, but because of somebody else, I show restraint towards that person. In fact, I kind of do that a lot. And maybe we should do that more. I'm not going to respond to you, even though I feel like I should, and I feel like maybe I could. Maybe I do feel I'm in the right. But out of respect for this person over here that maybe knows you, maybe they're your parent, maybe they're your spouse, maybe they're your something, but because of this person here and my respect for them, I'm going to show you restraint. That's sometimes what I have to do because of the world we live in. Respect requires humility. You can't truly respect others if you are full of yourself. We talked about that earlier too. You can't be full of yourself. You have to have humility. Philippians 2:3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition, rather in humility, value others above yourself. It's interesting how, whether it's we're talking it through a scriptural perspective or even like psychology or of the worldly perspective, it's putting others above you. And I think there's other religions out there too. I'm not an expert in religions, but I want to say something like Buddha or Buddhists, maybe Hindu, something like that. They talk about elevating others above ourselves. So it's a universal concept, putting others above ourselves, having humility. And when we have humility, we have respect. I know in the Asian culture, respect and humility is a big thing, right? Just save face. So this isn't just a spiritual thing. It's a pretty universal thing, putting others above ourselves, showing humility, thinking less of us, thinking less of ourselves, thinking more of other people. But we have to be careful because it doesn't mean we lose our self-respect, our self-value, our self-worth. It's not thinking less of ourselves as a person in the concept of respect that we're talking about. It just means we're not as haughty. We're not as arrogant. We're not as putting us first. We're just thinking of ourselves less and putting others above us. Respect and fairness go together. Micah 6:8, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. You can't be respectful while being unfair, and you can't be godly while playing favorites. And so you can see how it goes on and on and on. That respect is important. whether it is showing respect to other people, showing respect to yourself. And then two final ones: respect those who don't deserve it. And this is where it gets challenging. Luke 6:27, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you. It's not conditional. Biblical respect isn't conditional, by the way. It's not based on how people treat you. It's based on who you are called to be. So it's not based on how people treat you. Didn't we talk about that earlier? I think we did. And then finally, self-respect. Gotta have self-respect. Respect your body. Respect your life. Respect yourself. 1 Corinthians 6:19, your bodies are a temple of the Holy Spirit. So respect how you live, what you allow into your life, and what you tolerate. And you see, as you go through all of this, you start to understand that, people do struggle with respect. We think we understand it. Kind of like that clip in the beginning. We had that man on the street clip where people were talking about what respect means to them. And it's like, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we think we understand, but we really don't. And it's trying to figure out the balance, I guess you could say, between one thing or another. Respect versus disrespect. Self-respect and worth versus what other people think of us. And it goes on and on. And so it comes down to respect at every level again, on the personal level. If we respect ourselves, we're building self-worth. We're having good decision-making. If it's on a relational level, we're creating trust and having safety in those relationships. And when conflict does come up, it's healthy conflict. On the leadership level, it drives influence and loyalty. It builds culture and credibility, and that equals success. On a societal level, it forms the basis of human rights and dignity. We look at everybody. And if we did that, then perhaps maybe society in general would be better off than what we are right now. Maybe we'd be less divisive. Because again, when it comes down to it, respect is the recognition. Again, this is at its core. Recognition of value or worth, whether it's respecting a position or a person, respecting an ideology or values. It's recognizing there's value or worth in that thing that you're respecting. And then you're going to express that recognition for that value or that worth through your attitudes and your behavior towards it. And then, of course, like I said, it's directed at ourselves, others, or just the principles and thoughts, ideology, religion, faith, etc. But again, if you want that basic definition of what respect is, it's a feeling or understanding that someone or something is important and deserves appropriate treatment. Respect is a feeling or understanding that someone or something is important and deserves appropriate treatment. And again, respect is the recognition of dignity. It acknowledges someone's rights, autonomy, and inherent worth. It's not based on liking someone. It's based on recognizing their humanity. And the two types of respect: recognition respect, where everyone deserves it simply for being human, which is then linked to dignity and basic rights. And two, the appraisal respect. It's earned through ability, through character, or achievement. And that's why you can respect someone without admiring them and admire someone without fully respecting them. So you matter. Tell yourself that. You matter. If you have self-respect issues, tell yourself you matter. You can go back and listen to that montage that we first played to start the show. But at the very end, the guy says, look in the mirror. It starts with you. Kind of reminiscent of Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, right? If you want to change, be the change that you want, look in the mirror. So if you're lacking self-respect, look in the mirror. You matter. Tell yourself that. You matter. You matter. Write it all over the place. Scrawl it all over the place. You matter. You matter. You matter. Tell yourself, I won't violate your dignity. And then treat yourself with care and take yourself serious. Not serious from the standpoint of being not funny and enjoying life, but I mean, realize you have real value. And if you do that, then you will be able to have respect. You will be able to give respect. You'll be able to acknowledge respect, identify it, and basically get through life knowing about respect. This is Two Steps Ahead podcast, encouraging you to take your passion, make it happen, let yourself be great. I'm Son Edom. Check out our website, radiowarp.com. That's radio, W-A-R-P, radiowarp.com. You can click on the Two Steps Ahead podcast logo, and all of our past shows pop up there in video form. There is a link that goes across the page like a banner. If you click on that, it'll take you to our audio hosting page on Podbean, and all of our audio shows are there. You can also listen anywhere you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places. And then you can just do a internet search. TWO is the TWO, Two Steps Ahead podcast, and we pop up. So we're pretty easy to find. We're on social media everywhere, so you can check us out there. You can email the show at twostepsaheadpodcast@gmail.com. That's TWO, twostepsaheadpodcast@gmail.com. If you respond or send me an email, I will respond. Again, I offer it to you as an invitation. If you're going through something and you just really don't know who to turn to, or you feel like you have no one to turn to, reach out. If I can't help you, I will definitely find someone that can. If you have issues with self-respect and you want to talk about them, or you just want more information, or you want encouragement, whatever it is, reach out and I'll do what I can. And if I can't help you, I can definitely be a friend to you, but I can also turn you on to some really, really good people that I know, and they can help you out as well. And then you don't have to go alone. That's the one thing. You don't have to be alone. There's always someone, me, that you can reach out to. Might be a hard thing to do, reach out to a stranger on the other side of a TV screen, or coming from the speaker, the other side of the speaker, but I'm here. I'd like to offer that to you. And then, so pretty easy to find. And then you can just do, hey Siri, hey Google, hey Alexa, play TWO, Two Steps Ahead podcast, and we pop up. So we're pretty easy to find. And again, I'd like to take this time to say thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for being a part of it. If you have ever been touched by it, always just looking for that one person who needs to hear that one thing at that one time that makes it better for them. That's really what it's about. And so again, we appreciate your support. So with that, I say, hey, respect, recognize value in others, recognize value and worth in yourself, express that value and worth in attitude and behavior towards yourself and others. And remember, it's a feeling or understanding that someone or something is important and deserves appropriate treatment, including yourself. Two Steps Ahead podcast. Take your passion, make it happen, let yourself be great. I'm Son Edom. Hey, thanks for listening. Do tell a friend. And until next time, God bless.